Hello everybody, my name is Jeremy Byers. I'm the director of Poker Night. I'm joined by Tyler Beckwith, the lead role and the writer, and I'm also joined by Brent McNeel, arguably the best role in the film. So I'm going to start with Brent. I'm sure this is a question that a lot of people want to ask you. What did you do to prepare to play the role of the insane psychopathic killer?
I watched American Psycho about 10 times because, the character that they wrote was crazy, and Patrick Bateman's really crazy, so I wanted to capture the essence of a lunatic. I watched that, and I kind of did it off the cuff a little bit. I didn't really read the lines before that night. Tyler gave me the script, and I kind of just went with it. We did a couple takes, and then we kind of picked the best ones, and I just tried to be crazy.
And I don't know why I liked it, but I did. And we've all had those crazy thoughts that, what if we did something horrible? And you know what? I did it. And I enjoyed it too.
All right, well, my next question's for Tyler. Where did you come up with the idea for Poker Night?
It actually came from the lead actor of Resentment, Caden Brooks. Shortly after the film was released, he came to Jeremy and I with the idea for a murder mystery, and we started to write it, and it was heavily inspired by the movie 12 Angry Men, and we wanted to use the style from that movie, which was to have the entire thing filmed in one room, and we successfully did that with Poker Night. So eventually I took over writing, and Jeremy and I collaborated on the ending a little bit. Actually, Jeremy wrote the ending, Brent's whole entire monologue, so props to Jeremy for that, but I think it turned out really well. But yeah, that's where the general idea of the movie came from.
Jeremy, what inspired you to write the monologue at the end of the film?
So the monologue at the end, for a long time I've been wanting to make something really weird. So recently I've been watching A Clockwork Orange, which is a very weird psychological film. So I wanted to make it kind of weird and messed up at the end. And also American Psycho had a lot of inspiration because I knew that Brent's character was going to be, kind of similar to Patrick Bateman. So I wanted to write something that I could see Patrick Bateman saying. So I wanted to make it really weird, really messed up a little bit. But I didn't want to get too far out of my comfort zone, even though that was a little bit out of my comfort zone. So I wanted to make it just really weird. So everything that kind of came to my mind that was just wrong, I wrote down. So
that kind of worked out perfectly because that's one of my favorite films, American Psycho.
Mm-hmm,
so
yeah.
I knew the character, so it wasn't
sort of
hard.
like your dream role.
Yeah, if I could, Christian Bale did so amazing. So I would never be able to do that well. So I was if I could play this as good as I can, it could be like my own version of that character.
Well, actually, originally, you weren't even supposed to be the killer.
Yeah.
We had Nathan Walk as the killer, but some things came up and Nathan wasn't available.
Yeah, there was originally supposed to be 6 people at the table, but it did. I think it worked out better with only 5. One, because it did open the table up a little more, so we had this U shape. So with me, filming the entire thing, the cinematography, there were some shots that kind of use that open spot there at the end of the table to film some of the shots. So that really helped a lot, just removing that one character. It was actually the first night of filming where we ended up writing out the last character because we could not find anybody to replace it. I was actually going to replace Nathan, but then I figured, well, then the cinematography will be weaker, the directing will be weaker, that sort of stuff. So those aspects of the film would lower in quality. So I decided, we'll just write it out real quick. Actually, I think you were the one who suggested writing out the character.
That's right, Jeremy, it was.
Yeah, so...
And I think you had me 5 minutes before we started just crossing out lines.
Yeah,
and it made it shorter, but it worked out.
Yeah. If we did keep in, that other character, one, there would have been probably more character development. Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
And there was probably multiple scenes that we did have to cut because they were entirely focused on this
and it wouldn't have made sense to have it in there otherwise.
Yeah, there was conversations based around what that character had said, so even those conversations had to be cut out. It did make the movie overall shorter. I think if that would have been kept in, it would have been 30 to 35 minutes long, which is what we were probably aiming for. The script itself was about 30 pages, but again, there were some were some writing parts in there that were crossed out completely. So it I guess in reality it was probably 25 pages. So there was a lot cut out. But I think overall it made the movie better. I think if we had too many characters in there, I think one could argue that it would have been probably worse. If I
Could have been a little bit more confusing.
Yeah.
Trying to follow everybody's story, and
it already goes by so quick, and there's already so much you have to kind of pay attention to, because one person says this, the next person says that, it contradicts that, and it goes around this table so quick, and another character would have probably made it harder to pay attention to.
yeah, because it's already a very heavily dialogue
Yeah.
driven story. So
Yeah. And it does go by very quick.
yeah.
So Tyler, was it was it exactly how you imagined it when you were writing it? Like, did it turn out how you wanted it to?
Oh,
or-
it turned out exactly how I wanted it to. I think that, yeah, whenever I was writing it, I had the idea in my head, like how exactly I pictured it, and I pictured a garage, I pictured, a table, chairs, everything was exactly how it was, with the snack table and the drinks, and just every aspect that I thought of that I wanted it to become, it became, except for that character, of course, but like we said, it worked out better in the end. So one interesting aspect of the film that we did was we only had one singular light, and Jeremy was kind of in charge of lighting, so if you would like to talk about that some more.
Yeah, so the studio lights we're using right now actually were used to light the film, and there was one umbrella light right above the table that was actually hanging with rafters going across the garage. The umbrella actually hung on those rafters, and that was the only lighting in the whole movie, other than the part where Nick tries to leave and Tyler stops him. There was bounced light used there to light that scene a little bit, but there was all the lighting in there was only used by one light, and I think that lighting makes it more intense because there were shadows on the faces and stuff. It just made it really dark, and I think it just made it very intense. Same with the aspect ratio, the black bars on the top and bottom. It kind of made it a little more claustrophobic for the viewer. So that was another thing. There was a lot of stuff I added in there that subconsciously you notice. Is that the right word? How to explain that?
Yeah.
Subconsciously. Okay. You notice it, but you don't think about it as you're watching. So the over-the-shoulder shots, once Brent actually was revealed as the killer, there was no more over-the-shoulder shots. So that was supposed to, indicate that he is separated from this group that was originally tight and compact and talking with each other. So that really made it feel okay, he's separated now. We know who he is. There were shots really the long shot where they went out and turned on the car, that was supposed to just build suspense. I'm sure anybody probably could have figured that one out.
Well, why don't we go check the gas gauge?
My thoughts, they just took over.
That was my favorite part of the movie,
Really?
by the way. Yeah, I like that.
One thing that me and Jeremy collaborated a little bit on this, and the one thing that one of my goals for the movie was to have times of silence and suspense, and where things almost seem to go back to normal. Pretty early on, actually, they stopped talking about the murder and they try to continue to play poker, and that was sort of supposed to make the viewer want more, and they feel like it's drawing out at that point, they want to get back to the action.
Yeah.
And same with the long shots, that building that suspense and using time, the length of time where nothing is happening to help add suspense to the movie.
And one thing actually about the story that Caleb says about Sponge, the football,
Oh yeah,
and
I
whatever.
forgot about that.
It was actually like in reference to the movie itself, that entire story that Caleb was saying. And Tyler, you can elaborate a little bit more on that.
That story actually came from Caden Brooks whenever he was still helping us work on writing the story. And if you listen to the story again, it's sort of like the underdog, like the person you'd least expect. Like Sponge is the smallest and tiniest kid on the team, and he sacks the quarterback. And I guess the idea was, because Brent seemed to be least suspecting, they didn't really ask him his story. He was kind of mysterious. And everybody else kind of had a reason. Nick had a fight with her. Cody didn't like her. I wasn't even at the dance. Like, reasons that they could have been the killer. And Brent was just over there on the side, not really explaining much. And that was sort of the parallel between that story that Caleb said and with Brent. And also what that story did, like we were saying, was breaking up the tension and the plot in the story and adding to the suspense that the viewer's watching, but breaking up the arguing and the arguing between the actors.
So I'm just curious about this. So Tyler, what was your favorite scene to write and act in?
Probably to write, I think, that's tough. I think my favorite scene to write was probably the arguments between, it's the argument between Caleb and Nags.
Are you kidding me? We had such a close bond and you're just gonna go and say that? Huh?
Well, obviously not if you were fighting with her tonight. Just the other week you said how irritated you were with her.
Still, you really think I'd do that to her?
I really enjoyed the dialogue between those two, and I think that with the way Jeremy shot it, with Nag standing up and then Caleb being taller than Nick, standing up and sort of overpowering him and pushing him back down into his seat, it was kind of like a power shift, and I think that the argument turned out really well. And I also think the argument between Cody and Nick went really well as well. I really enjoyed writing those two. Probably to act in, I think that my favorite scene to act in was probably whenever you and me were arguing. I think that was probably my best acting in the movie. And I think our argument flowed pretty well, and so that's probably what I enjoyed acting the most.
What was your favorite part to film?
My favorite part to film was probably the arguing between Cody and Nags, Nick Delvaggio. We all just call him Nags.
Yeah, that's true.
I like that one there because just the back and forth with the camera motion, it was just really like quick, and I really, the audio sounds so good whenever he slams his hands on the table. I don't know why, but like it just sounds really nice. It's like this really loud boom, and it's just, I like how the camera, when I was going back and forth, and a few times I was going back and forth, and you could probably notice I didn't really know where their head was, so like you could see how I like kind of found it. But with that scene in particular, like I found them like such a perfectly like good way where like it like swiveled almost.
No, listen, whenever I was
Even before we started dating, he hated her.
Damn it, Nick, listen to me.
I won't listen to any more of your lies.
And it looked really good. It really looked like it was getting intense. So that was probably my favorite to film. Also the going around the table a couple times, that was really fun to film.
One thing about the argument scene, I liked how you overlaid Nick's audio whenever Cody stops to get a drink out of the cooler, and I did really like the shot from within the cooler whenever Cody opens it. I think that was like a quick change of pace between the back and forth, and then the argument continued after that.
Yeah.
So I think
And
that went well.
whenever Nick gets up to actually leave, and you stop him the first time, all that audio there that he's talking about, that's all overlaid. And nobody noticed it because I told him to say the line while he was getting up and doing it, but we recorded it because we didn't want the boom operator to follow him around. It just would have been kind of a pain. So we just had him record that line, and it was just, it worked really well. No one even noticed.
Wasn't the car audio also overlaid, like that entire?
Yeah, that entire scene, that was separate audio that was recorded previously to the film being, or the scene being filmed. So that car audio and everything, that was all overlaid as well. The whole movie, I mean, everybody, I've heard nothing but good things about this movie. I mean, there's a few people in particular that didn't like it, but I mean, other than that, I mean, it's just, a lot of people liked it. Like, they were just really impressed by your acting, first of all. Everybody,
I say everybody I've ever talked to, they always talk about Brent's acting.
And I think a lot of people, like I've sat in rooms where people watched it for the first time, and a handful of people really, and everybody says that like the best acting from Brent was obviously the ending, but like whenever he's like, you don't seriously think someone like everyone like as funny as it was filming that, but like everybody loved that when he's like, do you? Like, I don't know, it's just everybody
I was
loved
like
that.
doing it as a joke. Like, it wasn't
It
even
turned out well. Hey, that's usually how it goes.
Yeah.
It did turn out very well. It was
I
good.
appreciate everybody with the kind words.
Yeah.
It certainly makes this worth it. Not that, I mean, I really enjoy working with these guys. They're fun. They're my friends. But like when you guys tell us like you like the film and the acting, and you think it was well done. I mean, that just makes it all worth it. You know, it's just nice to hear that. So.
And I do want to thank everybody for watching it. I mean, it has like over 200 views right now on YouTube. It's only
Wow.
yeah, it's only been up for like what 2 days now. And
Yeah,
like,
it was released Friday night.
yeah,
so.
and then this is Sunday,
A year
Monday.
from now,
Just kidding.
365,000.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I mean, I really do want to thank everybody for watching. It was really cool to see everybody just enjoy it so much. So
I was pretty excited with the premiere night. I mean, we got what, like 90 views on the first night.
Yeah.
Did it really?
yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
that's impressive.
and like even like 12 a.m., 1 o'clock, people were watching it. It was just
And
like
one thing, like I know we got together for a watch party, a group, the cast, and then a group of friends, and that was only one view. You know, like we watched it together, and there was probably what, like 7 or 8 of us there, and so I mean, if people watched it together, that could have been even more.
Yeah,
so I think
yeah.
we reached a lot of people with this one.
and like I said, there's like hardly any like bad things about it. Like it just a lot of people liked it. So that was really cool to see.
One of the things that I heard from a lot of people was that the opening credit scene was like really well done. The music and the blood and all the rest of it. So where did all that come from? Where did the idea come from? And where did you find that beautiful song?
Okay. So the idea of the opening credits, like it came from Cody Harpster, which is one of the actors in the film. He came up with that idea of like just cards being, shuffled and like thrown down and like blood dripping on the cards. And I was like, that's really cool. And again, it almost reminds me of the opening to American
Psycho when they do the
Yeah.
dishes?
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
How cool.
And there was classical music playing in both opening
Yeah,
credits. Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah,
I
so-
just got chills.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
No one, like, I didn't even think of, well, when he first told me about it, I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds a lot like American Psycho.
It's like the arugula.
I don't know what that is. So when he first told me about this idea, I immediately thought of American Psycho, but I really liked the idea because the way he was explaining it, I'm like, we have to do that. And I knew right away what song I wanted to use was Lacrimosa by, or is that how you say it? Lacrimosa or something like that.
Probably.
Is
by,
it Latin?
Yeah, I think so. By Mozart. It was a Mozart piece. And I knew that's what I wanted to, that's the soundtrack I wanted for that opening, and of course the ending credits, because it cost me $26, so I was going to use it pretty well. I know that. So I knew that was the music I wanted to use, and the music actually came from Come and See, the Russian film, foreign film, war movie, and I just, that's where I've heard that song before, but that's where I really remember it from. So I just knew immediately that's the music I wanted to use, and I love the opening credits. Everybody liked them. It turned out so good. Like,
And it was kind of interesting. Like we thought of them on the spot.
yeah, like
different
all
things to
that
do.
stuff. Yeah. So like we had a black table. Actually, the same table was used to actually film the whole thing with. We had it on the back, and then we tilted the one on a chair, so we had like this L-shape thing with these black tables, so that it was just a complete black background with, again, one light, and so that's where we filmed it all, and it was all on the spot. I mean, I bought fake blood from like Spirit Halloween for like $7, which is ridiculous, by the way.
Go to Spirit Halloween.
Yeah, for overpriced blood.
So how much was the budget for this movie?
In the end, it was close to $500, which was a lot. I mean, that's including equipment that I bought for the movie, which again, I guess I can use, well, I will use for future productions and stuff. But like the props and the
Actors. I did not come cheap.
yeah, he was the most expensive one. I mean, you get what you get
It's all
for the
pro
price.
bono for me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, So yeah, it was probably about $500.
From like the blood, the snacks, the chips,
Yeah,
all
the tie, everything, all that
music.
Stuff. Yeah,
There's a lot that goes into a budget.
yeah. So that actually could buy a shirt, a Joker Studio shirt. Okay, you're helping me a lot if you do that. What else am I selling? Movies. Go buy Resentment. Okay, I would say Poker Night's probably better. Actually, no, I'm going to say Poker Night's better.
It's better.
But
If you'd like to see where we came from.
yeah. I mean,
And Resentment's not a bad movie.
no, it's not bad. Like it's better than Detained, which was my first movie, and that was awful. And that's free if you
So
want
if
to
you
go watch
thought
that.
Detained was okay, you're going to think these movies are amazing.
Exactly. If you haven't watched Poker Night yet, I don't even know why you're here.
Go watch Poker Night.
Yeah. But yeah, go buy like Resentment.
It's only
and-
$3, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, $2.99
Not
right
much at
now.
all.
Yeah. So please, I'm begging. And then buy future stuff and that we make in the future because I'm
Are you
not.
selling posters now?
Yeah.
Ooh.
You can buy a Poker Night poster.
And
a movie poster.
I was actually the model for the cover.
Yeah, the
Those
tie.
are
The
my
tie.
suit, my hands, my tie, everything.
Yeah. What a man.
Did you buy the poster?
I didn't yet. I plan on it.
Yet.
Wow.
He's lying right to my face.
All right.
So again, thank you to everybody who watched it. I really appreciate the support. Like I said, nothing but pretty much good words from the good feedback from the movie. So, like I said, I'm Jeremy Byers, the director of Poker Night. If you haven't watched it yet, go watch it. And I guess you guys could.
And I'm Brent McNeel.
And I'm Tyler Beckwith.
The writer, actor, also actor. Thank you for watching, and you have a good rest of your
Night.
evening.
Catch
day.
you later.
See ya. Bye.